Okay, so there's north is now up. We are standing over here, all right, on the southeastern side of the fortress. And what this fortress has is several things that make it an amazing fortress, which enabled it to stand up to Salah ad-Din for 2 years after actually the Battle of Karnei Chitim. The first thing is, what do we need? Water. They have water here. First of all, there's springs here below, but they also have water cisterns in the fortress itself, within the fortress, which gave them a constant water supply. There is rains up here. It's higher than in the valley. They get more rain, and the water cisterns were full. They had a water supply. The other thing is the defenses of this fortress. And as your friend here told you, this fortress would later become the blueprint for other fortresses that were built by the Crusaders because it was built in such a strong way. It's built on the cliff. The eastern side is on the cliff, literally, we can see. But the other sides of it, they dug a moat. All the way around there is a huge moat. We're going to see it. It's enormous. It's about 12 meters deep, 12 meters across also. It's a very big moat. By the way, when we say moats in Israel, it's generally a dry moat.
No crocodiles.
Okay? No
There's
crocodiles,
no
no
moat.
water. Okay, it's a dry moat, but it's what we call a killing ground, because it gives the people who are in the fortress above, if somebody's trying to access through the moat, they can see them and they can shoot at them. If they try and go down and up, it's also much harder to conquer that way. So there's a moat on 3 sides and a cliff on this side, which again gives it a really strong defense system. But they were even more sophisticated than that. First of all, 4 corners, there are 4 towers, obviously guard towers in each of the 4 corners. But because of the length of the fort, towers only at the end weren't enough. So they actually built towers in the middle as well. In the middle of each wall, there's another guard tower. What do you do on the eastern side where it's on a cliff? They built something, that's the Barbican, okay, that actually juts out over the cliff. They built another watchtower in the middle that really can see the view on all 3 sides. Okay? Now, why are they here? If we look there, we can see the Kinneret. You can see the dip of the Gilead, the Jordan Mountains going down, and the Golan Heights going up, and in the back, that's Syria. That's the Yarmouk. Okay, that is a passing into the country from that side. All right? The Naharaim way to get into the country. And a little bit more that way is still today the other border crossing, which still stands today, Gesher Sheikh Hussein, okay, which again is another border crossing. And from up here, they can keep an eye on both of those crossings. They can see who's coming in the country, who's trying to invade, and they can give warnings, right? This outer wall and the outer moat is not enough. When we say concentric, it actually means there's a fort within a fort. Inside there is another fortress, an inner fortress, that is taller than the outer fortress. Which means that if somebody managed to get through all of these things and get inside,
Could be a
they
trap.
can retreat to the center fortress, which is also called a donjon.
Donjon,
Okay, the donjon, and
Donjon
there
in
are
in
also
Apollonia,
guard towers on all 4 corners that are higher than all the walls of the outer fortress, which means, again, they have the advantage of height over their enemies who are now in the corridors around them. Okay? So it's a very, very, very good defense system. Not only that, we're going to see the gates and the entrances into the fortress are built in typical Crusader fashion with those 90-degree angles, like we know from Jaffa Gate, right? That you go in, you're not in yet. You got to make that sharp turn.
L shape.
Okay. Here, there's actually a corridor to go in with archery holes. So even if they breach the gate, They're going and they're being shot at all along, and then they make that 90-degree turn, and there's more archery holes, and then they get to the gate, and there's the boiling oil, and it's really, really tough to break into this place. And so to answer your question, when Salah ad-Din wins the battle of Karnei Chitin, and he goes and he starts conquering other fortresses, this fortress is a stronghold that he just can't get to. He can't get to them. Physically, he can't get to them. It's so strong. Until he comes up with the idea, and the idea is the Barbican. This is the weak point, because it's jutting out. And so what he did was, he took his soldiers and they crept up at night underneath, up the mountain, and they went